Emily Harper stood at the altar of St. Mary's Cathedral in downtown Chicago, her white lace gown pooling around her like a forgotten dream. The summer sun filtered through the stained glass windows, casting rainbow hues on the pews filled with 200 guests, family, friends, colleagues from her marketing firm, and a smattering of her fiancé's law partners. The organist had just finished the bridal march, and the priest cleared his throat, ready to begin. But where was Mark? She glanced at the ornate wooden doors at the back of the church, her heart pounding beneath the bodice of her dress. Her bridesmaids, in their soft lavender gowns, shifted uncomfortably behind her. Her best friend, Sarah, whispered, "He's probably just stuck in traffic. You know how Michigan Avenue gets on Saturdays." But Emily knew better. Mark had been distant lately, late nights at the office, vague excuses about work trips. She'd chalked it up to pre-wedding jitters, the stress of merging their lives in a city that never slowed down. They met 3 years ago at a charity gala for the Children's Hospital, where he charmed her with stories of pro bono cases and his love for sailing on Lake Michigan. He proposed last Christmas under the twinkling lights of Millennium Park, and she'd said yes without hesitation. Now, as the minutes ticked by, doubt crept in like fog off the lake. The priest leaned in. "Miss Harper, perhaps we should." The doors burst open, but it wasn't Mark. It was his best man, Tom, red-faced and out of breath, clutching a note. The congregation murmured as he hurried up the aisle, avoiding Emily's eyes. He handed her the paper with trembling hands. I'm so sorry." Her fingers unfolded the note, the words blurring through tears. "I can't do this. It's not you, it's me. I need space. Forgive me. Mark." The world tilted. Gasps rippled through the church. Emily's mother stood up in the front row, her hand over her mouth. Her father, ever the stoic accountant, looked ready to punch someone. Sarah rushed forward, wrapping an arm around her. "That bastard! I'll kill him!" But Emily couldn't move. The gown felt like a cage, the veil a shroud. How could he do this? After the invitations, the deposits, the dreams of a house in the suburbs with a white picket fence and kids running around? She'd given up a promotion at work to plan this wedding, believing in their future. Now, it was all crumbling in front of everyone she knew. The priest suggested adjourning to the vestibule, but Emily shook her head. "No," she whispered, her voice cracking. I don't know what to do." That's when she noticed him, a man in the third row on the groom's side, standing out in his tailored navy suit, a white rose boutonniere pinned to his lapel. He was tall, with tousled auburn hair and a short beard that framed a kind, angular face. His eyes, a piercing green, met hers with an intensity that cut through the chaos. She vaguely remembered Mark mentioning a cousin or something, a doctor who'd flown in from New York. Dr. Alexander Kane, that was it. Millionaire philanthropist, head of a prestigious cardiology unit at Mount Sinai. Mark had bragged about him once, saying Alex was the family success story, single and buried in work. Alex stepped into the aisle, his presence commanding without effort. The murmurs quieted as he approached the altar, his polished shoes echoing on the marble floor. He leaned close to Emily, his voice low and steady, carrying a faint New York accent. "Pretend to marry me now," he whispered, his breath warm against her ear. "We can figure out the rest later. Don't let this define you." Emily blinked, stunned. Was he serious? She searched his face for mockery, but found only sincerity and a hint of mischief, like he was offering a lifeline wrapped in adventure. Her mind raced. Annulments were easy if it wasn't real, right? And anything was better than walking out alone, humiliated. Before she could overthink it, she nodded faintly. Alex turned to the priest. "Father, if you'll indulge us, there's been a change of plans. I'm stepping in." The priest's eyes widened. "This is highly irregular." "Please," Emily interjected, finding her voice. "Just proceed." The congregation buzzed like a hive. Her mother looked horrified, her father intrigued. Sarah mouthed, "Who is he?" As the priest stumbled through the vows, Alex slipped a ring from his pinky, a simple gold band, onto her finger. Emily recited the words mechanically, her heart a storm of grief and gratitude. When it came time for the kiss, Alex cupped her face gently, his lips brushing hers in a soft, reassuring press that sent an unexpected spark through her veins. The guests applauded uncertainly, some cheering, others whispering. As they walked down the aisle hand in hand, Emily leaned into him. "Why did you do that?" Alex smiled faintly. "Mark's an idiot. And no one deserves to be left like that. Besides, I've got a jet waiting. How about we turn this reception into an escape?" Little did she know, this impulsive act would unravel secrets from both their pasts, leading to a love story neither saw coming. But for now, as they stepped into the Chicago sunlight, Emily felt a glimmer of hope amid the wreckage. The Chicago summer air hit Emily like a slap as they stepped out of St. Mary's Cathedral. Photographers, hired for what was supposed to be her real wedding, snapped away in confusion, their lenses capturing the surreal scene, a bride in full regalia holding hands with a stranger in a navy suit. Guests spilled onto the steps behind them, a mix of shocked faces and tentative applause. Emily's mother hurried forward, mascara already streaking. "Emily Harper, what on earth?" "Mom, I'll call you later," Emily managed, her voice steadier than she felt. Alex squeezed her hand gently, a silent anchor. A sleek black Escalade idled at the curb, door already open. Alex guided her inside with the calm efficiency of someone used to high-stakes decisions. As the driver pulled away, Emily caught sight of the reception venue across the street, the glittering ballroom at the Peninsula Chicago, where hundreds of dollars worth of orchids, tiered cakes, and an open bar awaited a celebration that would never happen. Or would it? She turned to Alex, who was loosening his tie with one hand while checking his phone with the other. "You said something about a jet?" He glanced up, green eyes catching the sunlight. "Private terminal at Midway. We'll be wheels up in 30 minutes if traffic cooperates." Emily laughed, a short, disbelieving sound. "This is insane. I don't even know you." "Alexander Kane. Alex. Cardiothoracic surgeon, New York. And apparently, your emergency groom for the day." He offered a small, crooked smile. "Mark mentioned me once or twice. Said I was the rich cousin who never shows up to family stuff. Guess today's the exception." The car merged onto Lakeshore Drive, the city skyline gleaming to their left. Emily stared out the window, the adrenaline crash hitting hard. Tears welled up again. "He didn't even have the guts to tell me himself. Just a note. Like I was canceling a dinner reservation." Alex's expression softened. "He's a coward. And he'll regret it the second he realizes what he threw away." He paused. "You don't have to talk about it now. Or ever, if you don't want to." She wiped her eyes with the back of her gloved hand. "Where are we even going?" "First stop, my place in the Hamptons. It's quiet, private, and has a guest house bigger than most apartments. You can stay as long as you need, change your mind, cry, scream into the ocean, whatever. No pressure. After that, we'll see." Emily studied him. He looked nothing like the stereotypical arrogant millionaire doctor. No flashy watch, no smug grin. Just steady confidence and a quiet intensity that made her feel seen, not pitted. They arrived at the private aviation terminal faster than she expected. A Gulfstream G650 waited on the tarmac, engines humming softly. The flight attendant greeted them warmly, as if impromptu wedding getaways were routine. Inside the cabin, cream leather seats faced each other across a polished table. A bottle of chilled Veuve Clicquot sat in an ice bucket, 2 flutes waiting. Here's the luxurious escape that awaited them. Emily sank into the plush seat, the wedding gown suddenly absurd against the modern elegance. Alex shrugged off his jacket and rolled up his sleeves, revealing forearms dusted with auburn hair. "Champagne?" he asked, popping the cork with practiced ease. She nodded. "Why not? It's my wedding day, after all." They clinked glasses. The bubbles tasted sharp and hopeful. As the jet taxied and lifted off, Chicago shrank beneath them. Emily watched the city disappear, a strange mix of grief and liberation washing over her. She'd spent months planning the perfect life with Mark, stable job, predictable weekends, a future mapped out like a spreadsheet. Now, at 30,000 feet, she was flying toward uncertainty with a man she'd met 90 minutes ago. Alex leaned back, watching her. "You okay?" "I think so." Terrified. Relieved. Maybe a little drunk already. She laughed softly. "Thank you. For whatever this is." "Don't thank me yet," he said. We still have to explain this to my very nosy family when they hear about the mystery bride. And your friends are probably blowing up your phone. Emily pulled out her phone. 27 missed calls, mostly from Sarah. One text from her mother, "Call me now." Who is he? She typed a quick reply, "Safe. With a friend. Need time. Love you." Then she powered it off. Alex raised an eyebrow. Bold move. I'm done performing for everyone else today. The flight attendant served a light meal, lobster salad, fresh bread, strawberries. Emily ate mechanically at first, then with growing appetite. Conversation flowed easier than she expected. Favorite Chicago spots, she loved the Art Institute. He preferred hidden jazz clubs, worst medical emergencies. He once operated during a blizzard power outage, her dream of opening a small creative agency someday. Hours later, the jet descended toward East Hampton. The sun was setting, painting the sky in pinks and golds. Alex pointed out the window. That's the house. Right on the beach. Emily's breath caught. The sprawling modern estate glowed against the dunes, waves crashing in the distance. It looked like something from a magazine, peaceful, luxurious, worlds away from the chaos she'd left behind. As they stepped off the plane, a cool ocean breeze lifted her veil. Alex offered his arm. "Welcome to your honeymoon, Mrs. Fake Kane." She took it, smiling for the first time since the altar. "Let's not jinx it, Dr. Imposter." But as they walked toward the waiting car, something shifted inside her, a tiny, dangerous spark. This wasn't just an escape anymore. It felt like the beginning of something real. The black SUV wound along the narrow, tree-lined roads of East Hampton, the ocean peeking through gaps in the dunes like a promise. Emily pressed her face to the window, still in her wedding gown, the lace now slightly wilted from the day's chaos. The driver pulled up to a gated driveway, and the wrought iron gates swung open silently. The house came into view as the sun dipped low, a stunning modern masterpiece of glass, stone, and weathered cedar, perched on a bluff overlooking the Atlantic. Floor-to-ceiling windows reflected the fiery sunset, and an infinity pool seemed to spill straight into the sea. Here's the breathtaking estate that greeted her. Alex helped her out of the car, his hand steady on her elbow. "Welcome home, for now at least." Inside, the space opened into a vast great room with vaulted ceilings, a massive stone fireplace, and white oak floors that gleamed under recessed lighting. Fresh flowers, white roses and peonies, sat on the console table as if someone had anticipated celebration. A note rested beside them. "Welcome back, Dr. Kane. House is stocked. Enjoy the weekend. Maria." "Your housekeeper?" Emily asked. "My miracle worker. She's been with the family since I was a kid." He gestured toward a hallway. "Guest wing is that way. There's a closet full of clothes. My sister leaves stuff here. Or I can have something overnight tomorrow if you want." Emily kicked off her heels, the cool floor soothing her aching feet. "Right now, I just want to breathe." Alex nodded. "Take your time. I'll be on the deck if you need me." She wandered through the house like a ghost in her own fairy tale. The master suite had ocean views from the bed. The bathrooms were marble sanctuaries with rain showers. In the guest wing, she found a walk-in closet stocked with sundresses, jeans, soft cashmere sweaters, sizes that miraculously fit. She slipped out of the wedding gown, hanging it carefully in the closet like a relic, and changed into a simple white linen dress and sandals. Barefoot, she padded back through the house and out to the expansive deck. The ocean crashed below, rhythmic and soothing. Alex stood at the railing, sleeves rolled up, staring at the horizon. He'd changed into dark jeans and a charcoal Henley that hugged his shoulders. He turned when he heard her. "Feel better. A little less like a runaway bride, yes." She joined him at the railing. The wind lifted her hair, salt-scented and cool. "This place, it's incredible. How do you even afford to leave it empty most of the time?" "Work keeps me in the city. And honestly, it's too quiet sometimes." He glanced at her. "Not tonight, though." They stood in companionable silence as the sky deepened to indigo. Emily's phone buzzed in her pocket. She turned it back on briefly. Texts from Sarah. "Call me. Are you kidnapped by Hot Doctor?" A voicemail from her dad. "Honey, just say the word and I'll be on the next flight." She sighed. Everyone's freaking out. They'll survive one night. Alex tilted his head. Hungry. Maria left dinner in the warmer, but I thought, maybe something simpler. He led her down a stone path to a private stretch of beach. A small table had been set near the water's edge, candles flickering in glass hurricanes, protected from the breeze. A bottle of rose chilled in a bucket, and plates waited under cloches. Here's the intimate beach setup that awaited them. Looking for a romantic dinner? Do contact us. They sat on cushioned chairs, the sand cool beneath their feet. Alex lifted the cloches to reveal grilled lobster tails, asparagus, and a fresh green salad. Simple, elegant, perfect. As they ate, conversation turned personal. Emily told him about growing up in the Chicago suburbs, her dream of building a creative agency that helped non-profits tell their stories. Alex shared fragments of his life. Med school debt that his trust fund erased, the pressure of being the successful one in a family of lawyers, the quiet grief after losing his mother to heart disease, the reason he specialized in cardiology. You became a heart doctor because your mom died of a heart attack? Emily asked softly. Pretty much. I couldn't save her, so I make sure I can save others. He looked out at the waves. Sounds dramatic, I know. It's not. It's beautiful. The candles burned low. Emily stood, walking toward the water. She hiked up the linen dress and let the cool surf lap at her ankles. The moon had risen, silvering the sea. Alex followed, rolling up his jeans. You're going to ruin that dress. It's already ruined, she said with a small smile. Might as well make it memorable. They walked along the shoreline in silence, the only sounds the waves and distant gulls. At one point, their hands brushed. Neither pulled away. Back at the table, Emily turned to him. Why did you really do it? Step in at the altar. Alex exhaled slowly. Because I saw you standing there, beautiful and broken, and I remembered what it felt like to be left. Different circumstances, but the same gut punch. My ex-fiancée walked out 2 weeks before our wedding. Said she couldn't handle the hours, the lifestyle. I was angry for a long time. Emily's eyes widened. I had no idea. Mark never mentioned it. Family secret. He shrugged. When I saw you today, I just thought, screw it. No one should feel that alone on what's supposed to be the happiest day. She reached out, touching his arm. Thank you. Again. He covered her hand with his. You're welcome. Now, Mrs. Fake Kane, how about we call it a night? Big day tomorrow, figuring out how to explain this circus to the world. Emily laughed, the sound lighter than it had been in hours. One crisis at a time. As they walked back up the path, side by side, the house glowing warmly ahead, Emily felt something shift again. Not love, not yet. But possibility. Real, terrifying, exhilarating possibility. Sunlight poured through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the guest bedroom, waking Emily before her body was ready. She lay still for a long moment, the crisp white sheets cool against her skin, listening to the steady rhythm of waves outside. For the first few heartbeats, she forgot. Then reality returned in fragments. The empty altar, the note, the stranger who'd kissed her in front of God and 200 witnesses. She sat up, running fingers through tangled hair. The simple linen dress from last night lay folded on the chair. She'd fallen asleep in it after the beach. A quick glance at her phone, still on airplane mode, showed the time, 8:47 a.m. No missed calls visible, but she knew the storm was waiting the moment she turned it back on. In the bathroom, she splashed cold water on her face and stared at the stranger in the mirror. The bride who'd spent months perfecting her wedding day glow now looked raw, eyes puffy, lips still faintly swollen from the one real kiss of the day. She found a hair tie in a drawer and pulled her blonde waves into a messy bun, then padded barefoot through the quiet house. The scent of coffee drew her to the kitchen. Alex stood at the island, pouring 2 mugs from a sleek espresso machine. He wore faded gray sweatpants and a plain white t-shirt, hair still damp from a shower. He looked younger without the suit, more approachable, less like a savior and more like a man who'd made a reckless decision. Morning, he said, sliding a mug toward her. Cream and sugar are there. Figured you'd need caffeine before the interrogation begins. Emily wrapped her hands around the warm ceramic. You read my mind. She took a sip, perfect, strong, exactly how she liked it. How long have you been up? Since 6. Habit. Hospital rounds don't care about time zones. He leaned against the counter. How are you feeling? Like I got hit by a very expensive freight train. She managed a small smile. But the view helps. Beyond the glass doors, the Atlantic sparkled under a clear January sky. Wait, no, it was summer. The Hamptons in July, warm and golden. She'd lost track of time zones and seasons in the whirlwind. Alex nodded toward the deck. Breakfast is out there. Nothing fancy. Toast, fruit, yogurt. I'm not much of a cook. They carried their mugs outside. A teak table held a spread. Fresh berries, sliced melon, Greek yogurt with honey, thick slices of sourdough, and a small pitcher of orange juice. Seagulls wheeled overhead, calling to each other. They ate in companionable silence at first. Then Emily's phone buzzed again. She turned it on while changing. The screen lit up with notifications. 38 texts, 12 voicemails, 6 missed FaceTimes from Sarah alone. She groaned. I have to face this. Alex reached across the table. Gentle. You don't have to do it alone. She opened the thread with Sarah first. Sarah. Emily Harper, where are you? Sarah. Is this the guy from the third row? The hot doctor cousin? Sarah. Your mom is losing it. She thinks you've been kidnapped by a handsome stranger. Sarah. Which fair? But call me. Emily typed back quickly. I'm safe. In the Hamptons. With Alex, the doctor. Long story. I'm okay. Promise. Talk soon. Then her mother's voicemail. She played it on speaker, bracing herself. Emily, sweetheart, I'm worried sick. Your father says we should give you space, but I need to hear your voice. Who is this man? Is he safe? Call me when you can. We love you. Emily's throat tightened. She hit record and spoke softly. Mom, Dad, I'm really okay. I know it looks crazy. Alex is Mark's cousin, a doctor from New York. He helped me when Mark didn't show. I'm in the Hamptons at his house. It's beautiful and quiet, and I just need a few days to breathe. I love you both. I'll call tomorrow. She sent it before she could second guess. Alex watched her, expression unreadable. You handled that well. Barely. She set the phone face down. What about your family? Won't they hear about this? They already have. My sister texted me at 7:03 this morning. You married someone at Mark's wedding? Mom is having a field day. Apparently, the photos are circulating on family group chats. Emily winced. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to drag you into a scandal. You didn't drag me. I volunteered. He leaned back, stretching long legs. Besides, it's the most interesting thing that's happened to the Kane family since Uncle Roger tried to buy a vineyard in Napa and ended up with a goat farm. She laughed, a real one, surprising herself. Okay, that's a story I need to hear later. Deal. He stood. Come on. Let's walk. Fresh air will help. They followed the wooden boardwalk down to the beach. The sand was cool underfoot, the tide out, leaving shallow pools and scattered shells. Emily slipped off the sandals she'd borrowed. Alex rolled up his sweatpants. They walked in silence for a while, the ocean whispering beside them. Then Alex spoke, voice low. I have to be back in New York Monday morning. Early surgery. But you're welcome to stay here as long as you want. Maria will take care of you. There's a car, grocery delivery, everything. Emily stopped, turning to face him. You're leaving. Duty calls. Broken hearts don't operate themselves. He smiled, but it didn't quite reach his eyes. You don't have to come with me. But if you want to, there's a guest room at my place in Manhattan. Or I can book you a hotel, whatever feels right. She looked out at the water, waves curling white at the edges. The thought of going back to Chicago, her apartment still half-packed for the move to Mark's condo, her job waiting, the pitying looks from coworkers, made her stomach twist. I don't know what I want, she admitted. Everything feels suspended. Alex nodded. Then stay suspended a little longer. No rush. She glanced at him, the wind ruffling his auburn hair, the sunlight catching the faint scar above his left eyebrow she hadn't noticed before. He looked steady, safe, and dangerously appealing. "Okay," she said softly. "I'll come to New York. Just for a few days." His smile this time was real, quiet, relieved. "Good." They continued walking, shoulders almost touching, the future uncertain but, for the first time in 24 hours, not terrifying. Behind them, the big glass house watched over the beach like a silent promise, waiting to see what would happen next. The private car service dropped them at the curb of a sleek Upper East Side high-rise just as dusk settled over Manhattan. Emily stepped out, still in borrowed jeans and a soft cashmere sweater from the Hamptons closet, carrying the small duffel Alex had insisted on packing for her, mostly new basics Maria had overnight. The doorman greeted Alex by name with a knowing smile. "Welcome back, Dr. Kane. And good evening, ma'am." The elevator ride to the penthouse was silent, the mirrored walls reflecting their tired but strangely content faces. When the doors opened directly into the apartment, Emily's breath caught. Here's the breathtaking view that greeted her from the living room. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed the glittering Manhattan skyline, Empire State Building lit in patriotic colors, Chrysler Building's Art Deco crown glowing, the Hudson River a dark ribbon far below. The open-plan space was minimalist but warm. Charcoal sofas, a massive abstract painting, bookshelves filled with medical journals and well-worn novels. Alex set down his keys. "Make yourself at home. Guest suite is down the hall. Same view, better bathroom." He rubbed the back of his neck. "I have to head to the hospital in about an hour. Emergency consult turned into a full procedure tonight." Emily nodded, trying not to show her disappointment. "Of course. Go save lives. I'll figure out how to exist in this palace." He chuckled. "There's food in the fridge, wine in the cooler, streaming on the TV. And if you need anything, just text. I'll be back around dawn, probably." She watched him disappear into what she assumed was the master suite to change. When he emerged in navy scrubs, hair tied back, he looked every inch the focused surgeon. He paused at the door. "You sure you're okay here alone?" "I've survived worse than luxury solitude," she said with a wry smile. "Go. I'll be fine." After he left, the apartment felt enormous and quiet. She wandered, barefoot on heated floors, opening cabinets, stocked with gourmet everything, finding a note from the housekeeper, "Fresh linens, coffee ready at 7 a.m. She showered in the guest bathroom, rainfall head, heated towel rack, and slipped into soft pajamas she found folded on the bed. By 9 p.m., she was curled on the living room sofa with a glass of Pinot Noir, staring at the city lights. Her phone finally quieted after a flurry of reassurances to family and friends. Sarah's last text summed it up, "You're living a rom-com. Don't mess it up." A soft knock at the door startled her. She opened it to find a delivery person with a covered tray. Compliments of Dr. Kane. Under the dome, seared scallops, risotto, a tiny chocolate soufflé. A note in Alex's neat handwriting, "Didn't want you eating alone. Eat. Rest. See you soon." She ate at the dining table with the skyline as her backdrop, the city humming below like a living thing. For the first time since the wedding, the ache in her chest felt less like heartbreak and more like possibility. Alex returned at 5:17 a.m., slipping in quietly. She heard him in the kitchen, coffee brewing, fridge opening. She padded out in pajamas, hair messy. He turned, surprised. "You're up early. Couldn't sleep. Jet lag, time zones, life implosion." She leaned against the island. "How was surgery?" "Successful. Patient stable." He poured 2 mugs. "Want to see the sunrise from the roof?" They took the private elevator up 1 more floor to a landscaped terrace. The city was waking, taxis honking faintly, lights dimming as pink streaked the eastern sky. Here's the romantic rooftop setting where they watched the dawn. Candlelit rooftop stock photos, free and royalty-free stock photos. Alex draped a throw blanket around her shoulders. They stood at the railing, shoulders touching. The first rays hit the skyscrapers, turning glass to gold. "I've never done anything this impulsive," Emily admitted. "Not even close." "Me neither," Alex said quietly. "But I don't regret it." She turned to him. "What happens now? I can't just stay here forever." You could, he said simply. Or go back to Chicago. Or find a place here. Or travel. Or start that agency you talked about. No wrong answer. She studied his face, the faint stubble, tired eyes, quiet strength. And us. This fake marriage thing. It's complicated. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. It doesn't have to be fake forever. But it doesn't have to be anything right now. We can just be. Figure it out day by day. Emily felt something loosen inside her. Not the full release of grief, but a door cracking open. Later that morning, after coffee and croissants, they walked to Central Park. The summer air was warm, leaves rustling. They strolled the paths, hands occasionally brushing. Here's the peaceful Central Park moment they shared. Fall proposal at Gapstow Bridge in Central Park, Lynn Peniel. As they sat on a bench near the Bethesda fountain, watching joggers and families, Emily leaned her head on his shoulder. Thank you for giving me this space. This chance. Alex kissed the top of her head. You're welcome. Now we have time. For the first time, the future didn't feel like something to fear. It felt like something to walk toward, together. 3 months had passed since the day Emily stood abandoned at the altar. Autumn had arrived in New York, the city wrapped in crisp air and golden leaves. Central Park was ablaze with color, and the streets smelled faintly of roasted chestnuts. Emily had stayed, not just a few days, but long enough to sign a lease on a small, sunny apartment in the West Village, a short subway ride from Alex's penthouse. She'd launched her creative agency from a corner desk there, taking on her first non-profit client, a Children's Heart Foundation that Alex quietly supported. They hadn't rushed anything. No dramatic declarations. No pressure to define what they were. They simply existed together. Coffee runs at dawn after his night shifts, late-night walks across the Brooklyn Bridge, quiet dinners where conversation drifted from hospital stories to childhood memories. The fake marriage remained legally intact. Neither had filed for annulment. It felt less like a technicality now and more like a private promise they weren't ready to undo. Tonight was different. Alex had texted her at noon. Clear your evening. Dress warm. 7 p.m. at my place. When Emily arrived, the doorman smiled wider than usual. He's waiting on the roof, Ms. Harper. The private elevator opened to the terrace, now transformed. String lights crisscrossed overhead, casting a soft glow. A small table was set for two, candles flickering against the October chill. Beyond the railing, Manhattan shimmered in twilight, timeless, alive. Here's the magical rooftop dinner setup that awaited her. Alex stood near the edge, hands in the pockets of his navy coat, auburn hair catching the breeze. He turned when he heard the elevator chime, and the smile that crossed his face made her heart stutter. You're early, he said, crossing to meet her. You said 7. It's 6:58. She laughed softly. I didn't want to miss a second. He took her hand, leading her to the table. A bottle of the same Veuve Clicquot from their first flight chilled in a bucket. Under silver domes, short rib ravioli, roasted root vegetables, a chocolate tart that looked almost too beautiful to eat. They sat, the city humming far below. After the first glasses of champagne, Alex grew quiet, thoughtful. He set his glass down. I've been thinking, he began, about that day in Chicago. About why I walked up to the altar. Emily's pulse quickened. You said it was because you knew how it felt to be left. That was part of it. He looked at her steadily. But there was more. When I saw you standing there, beautiful, heartbroken, trying so hard to hold it together, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Not just sympathy. Not just anger at Mark. I felt pulled. Like the universe had handed me a chance I didn't know I was waiting for. She swallowed. Alex. I don't want to keep pretending this is temporary, he continued. I don't want to wake up one day and realize I let fear stop me from saying what I've known since that first night on the beach. He reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Emily's breath caught. Inside lay a simple platinum band with a single emerald, deep green, like his eyes, flanked by 2 tiny diamonds. I'm not asking you to forget what happened, he said softly. I'm not asking you to rush. But I am asking if you'll marry me, for real this time. Not as an escape. Not as a favor. Just because I love you. And I want to spend every messy, beautiful, ordinary day with you. Tears blurred her vision. She looked at the ring, then at him, at the man who'd seen her at her lowest and stayed. Yes, she whispered. Then louder, laughing through tears. Yes. He slid the ring onto her finger. It fit perfectly. Then he stood, pulling her into his arms, and kissed her the way he'd wanted to since the first time. Slow, deep, certain. The city lights glittered behind them like a million silent witnesses. Here's the tender moment they shared under the string lights. Later, wrapped in a blanket on the lounge chair, champagne forgotten, they talked about everything and nothing. A small wedding next spring. Maybe in the Hamptons, maybe Chicago, maybe somewhere new. A life that would include late-night hospital pages, agency deadlines, quiet Sundays, and always, always, each other. Emily rested her head on his chest, listening to the steady beat beneath her ear, the heart he'd devoted to saving others, now beating for her. You know, she murmured, I used to think getting left at the altar was the worst thing that could happen to me. Alex pressed a kiss to her hair. And now, she said, smiling into the night, I think it was the best. The city sparkled on, indifferent and eternal, while two people who'd once been strangers found their forever in the most unexpected way. And somewhere, in a quiet corner of their hearts, they both understood. Sometimes the universe doesn't just give second chances. Sometimes it gives the right one.